Welcome to today's video, and we're going to be making a timer plus stopwatch app. And so basically, we can the user can actually either make and use a timer or a stopwatch. So the first thing we're going to have to do is choose a different sprite. Just gonna choose one right now quickly here once this loads in. So let's just choose this bat then. Okay, so once the bat loads in, it'll pop. Yeah, there you go. So that's going to be the main person, and we can draw a background later. But the first thing we want is the time right now. That'll be pretty useful. Like, most of the time you have your time up here in your taskbar, but that'll be fun. So there is a time current year, this block again. So if I turn this on right now, it'll say year is 2021. But then if I go to month, and then I do this, it'll say it's the 5th month of the year. If I say date, it'll say 10. And then if I say day of the week, it's the second day of the week, it's Monday today. The hour, 16th hour. The minute is 5 minutes, and then you have seconds. 3, 4. So what we can do right now is like make it like this, large readout. So this will give us what do you call it? This will give us this. So basically, it's 2021. It's the 5th month. This is the date, and then this is the time. So this is the day of the week actually, so we don't really need that right now. But we'll do like Thursday, the 10th May, 2021. So we can do the rest of this afterwards. But first, let's work on the whole time thing. So we're gonna need 2 buttons, and let's just draw 2 buttons. The first one here is gonna be called we need 2 buttons because there'll be 2 functions for this, and let's make it that color. And then we're gonna need a box because I prefer buttons to be boxes. And then what we're gonna do is the first button is gonna be called timer. Now it's actually all in that color, so you can't see it. But if I change this color to black, I've highlighted right now, so now you can see it. Yeah. Let me just get rid of that name. There. Now what we can do is we can make this bigger. Just put it in there. And we're gonna need a second sprite called, we're gonna need it for the stopwatch. So they'll be able to click one of these, and they'll be able, and they'll get like a question box or something that asks them how long do you want it for or something. So the first box is gonna be, the outline is gonna be, let's say this is 4. Make it the same color again. And then I draw this, and then I put this here again, but this time I'm just gonna, okay, stopwatch. That's this one. That's way too big, but okay. So the next thing we're gonna need is, now we have these 2 really big buttons, and then we're going to have to write some code for that. So the timer button, when the button is clicked, we want it to start a timer. So when the button is clicked, when the sprite is clicked, we want them to ask how long the timer should be for example. Long do you want the timer to be? Okay, so then that'll happen. I need a variable for the timer to be, and then let's make that time. Oh, we name 1000 after time year. Okay, timer. So then the timer, it's not like a showing variable or anything, so I'm gonna set my variable, which is the timer, to the answer. So now we'll actually know, so now this is going to be the timer. And then every 1 second we'll change this by -1. And then when the timer is equal to 0, we'll ring the alarm, or we'll say time's up, because that's the way this is gonna work. So we're gonna do like an actual events block and wait 1 second. And then we'll set the timer to answer, and then we should do a 3, 2, 1 go, because the people won't know if it starts. So 3, we don't need this one. We don't not need that. I don't know where it went, but okay. So we actually need a say block. 3, 2, 1, go! Exclamation point. And then it's gonna wait 1 second to reduce the timer by 1. It's gonna wait 1 second, and then it's gonna reduce the timer by 1. But so you can reduce this by 1, and then what happens is, for example, I said 5 minutes, now it'll go to 4 minutes. But we need this to repeat, so we can either do this we can repeat this forever, and then we can like put a stop all in it when it's done, or we can put a repeat it and the amount of time, the amount of minutes times let's say for example 300 times 60. So basically we can do that, or we can just do it forever too, which is much easier, so we don't have to do any math inside of here. We can just do it forever, and then after everything is done, we'll do a stop all and we'll leave the forever loop. But if, for example, if we wanted to use the repeat timer block, then what would go wrong is, like, nothing would go wrong. It'll just be, for example, we would have to put minutes. We would be like, the person has to be, we have to tell the person to answer in minutes, because he might want hours, right? But we would make him answer in minutes. We could do like an hour function afterwards, but once he answers in minutes, we have to multiply those minutes by 60, and we could repeat that. We could do that too, but we could do this too. So forever, he'll wait 1 second, and he'll change timer by -1. Okay, so then we also need an if-then here. If the timer equals 0, because if we don't put this here, it'll just go on and on forever, because it's a forever loop. So we need the if block. So we need the if timer is equal to 50, not 50, 0. So because 0 is when that means that the timer, that means that it's minus enough times to go down all the way from, let's say, 1 minute 60 seconds to 0. So then what we'll do is, if the timer is equal to 0, then what we'll do is we'll say, for example, we'll just put a say for now, say time's up. There's also not a problem here. This say block, like right now if we run this, he'll say how long. Let's say I say minutes to 1 minute. It's gonna say 1, 2, 3 go, and then he just said time's up. Well, there is actually a glitch in there, but the part I wanted to show you is just click this sprite right now quickly. Timer. If I say 3 minutes, then it's just gonna go on forever, and then do this part. Yeah. So it says the 1, 2, 3 go until the time's up, but as you noticed, I put 3 minutes, but what it did was it gave me in a few seconds, gave me 3 seconds. So what the problem actually is here is that if you look here, we asked for minutes, we asked for the number 3. So when I typed in the number 3, it thought of it as, our code took it as 3 seconds. So it did what it would do for 3 seconds. It did this 3 times. But so what we have to do is we have to do a bit of math here, which is, we can just put this right inside of here. We can do timer times 60, because 1 minute has 60 seconds. So if we did put 3 minutes, then we'll multiply by 60 and we'll get 180 seconds. So now if I actually try this, this will work. It should work. So then if I put right now, for example, how long do you want the timer to be? Let's say I put 0.5 minutes, 30 seconds. It'll go 1 to 3 go, and he's saying that forever, the timer block. We have to fix that, but while we're waiting, let's just fix it, because it's not going to interrupt the code or anything, because the code is already running. Let's just fix this problem here. Say, you just say it for a few seconds. Say 3, 2, 1, go. For a few seconds, for 2 seconds, we'll stop. But as you can see, we haven't affected the code that much, but this is still running because it's been more than 30 seconds. Did it just say time's up? I didn't notice. Anyway, okay. 0.5 times 60 is actually 30 seconds, yeah. It should have worked. Let's just actually do something else here. When you troubleshoot, you might want the timer block out here. Oh, okay, so it's at -10. Let's click this again. Oh, so I know. So what happened was that here's a mistake. What happened last time we did it, the time before last time we did it, we entered the number 3, if you remember, and that's when we realized that it was a glitch. And when we fixed the glitch by adding this multiply by 60 thing, the time was actually this variable was already at 0 because it already brought it down to 0. So what we have to do is at the beginning of the code, we have to add a second line. Because right now, because let's just not add this code block for a second. So if we run it again, how long do you want it to be? Let's say we put 0.5 again. If you multiply 0.5 by 60, you get 30. By the way, so that's 30 seconds. Run this. That's working, but 29. Okay, so it did work, but for some reason, if we watch it, so we didn't actually need this block because it said it again. But if we just wait for a few seconds, let me just stop this and timer run again. Let's say do 0.2. So now just wait. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Okay, so it actually works. So this code basically works, but then this just keeps running. That's why you have to add in the stop all, because it says time's up, just goes back into the forever loop. So we need the stop all block. But we can also add some sound here if you wanted. But the people who are actually using it, they might want to know how much time they have left. So for that, they want like the numbers there. So we can just use the variable itself because you saw it worked over there. But the problem is, if we run it, if we click timer right now, they see that number, -14. So to make sure that they're not getting confused, we can just add that block there. And then, if you click it, it sets the timer to 0. That means there's 0. There's nothing there at all. So, how long do you want the timer to be? Let's say we do 0.5. And if you run it 3, 2, 1, go, we can see that it's ticking down. And it stopped. Because, okay, you see, so there's an error here. Let's just go through the code for a second again and see what's wrong. So we go set the timer to 0, which works. And then we say, ask how long do you want the timer to be, minutes. And then we do this, set the timer to the answer times 60. So now we know how many seconds it is, because the person answered in minutes. Then we say the 3, 2, 1, go, and we start the loop. And inside the forever loop, we wait 1 second, and we change the timer by -1, and we check. If the timer is equal to 0, the variable, then we say time's up for 2 seconds. And then we just stop all. This stop all actually should be in here, because what's happening is, it's doing this in the very first loop. But if you put it in here, what happens is that only if the timer is equal to 0, it'll stop. Or else it'll just ignore all this, because the timer is not 0, it'll just skip these 2 blocks and go back. But if the timer is 0, then it'll say time's up, and then it'll stop all. Now if you run it again for like the billionth time, let's say we do 0.5, now you can see the timer goes down. It should go down. 29, yeah, it's going down. Okay, so now we know that works. You can try it with your phone or some other or some watch or something like that to see if it's actually accurate, how accurate it really is. It looks pretty accurate to me, but okay. So now we have the timer code written. Now we still have to do the whole stopwatch business here. So then what the stopwatch we have to do is, this one is actually much easier. Basically the same code practically, but instead of counting down, we're counting up, and we don't need any of this if timer equals 0 nonsense, because it's not actually going to anything. It's just going to go on. It should go on forever. We don't need to ask anything either. Stopwatch is just something that you go on to time something. So we can just toss this into our backpack for a minute here. So you can move it over to this sprite and use the same one again. And then put that down. So if you look at the sprite, now we just do the same thing. So we can use the same variable again, but not to get confused, we'll just make another variable called stopwatch, and then we can click OK, and he'll be over here. Let's leave him over here for now. Now we have to set stopwatch to 0. We don't need to ask anything, and then we don't need to set anything to anything, because all this has to do is just count up forever until the person presses a stop button. So timer, well, we can do a 1, 2, 3 go if we want. So people get ready, click if they're timing or running or something like that, or like how long it takes them to do something. They want to be ready. So then we just have to. We don't have to. Yeah, we can wait 1 second, and then we don't need any of this if business. All we need to do is just change it by 1 forever, and so we did obviously need it forever. So then forever just goes on and on and on and on and on and on. But we need one thing though. How do these people stop it? Once they're done, they want to be able to stop it and record their time. So what we can do for that is, we can basically just make it so that the person clicks another stop button, which will appear, and when the stop button is clicked, it'll just stop all. And the way we can do that is by creating another sprite. This probably isn't the best way to do it, but this way works too. So we're gonna need a stop button, and stop buttons are usually red, because red means stop. I don't know why it's that way, but. And then we're gonna put 4, 5, and then I have to draw this again, don't I? Yeah. Now we'll just get rid of this one, the one down here, because it's useless. Now we have a big red stop button that's much smaller. Yeah, like this small. Just fit down there. And we need a small text that's not in red, and then it's just gonna say stop, like that. That's really it. That's really it. And then what we can do is we're gonna have to broadcast a message for this to work, for this method to work. So we can. What is the broadcast message? Okay, so he's gonna broadcast message 1. We can also change it to stopwatch message or whatever. Go over here, say when I receive message 1. He's gonna be hidden, by the way, because we don't just want him hanging around there forever. So we're just gonna hide him when the flag is clicked. Hide. We're gonna grab the show block and the hide block, because we have to show him too. And when I receive the message 1, he's just gonna show himself. And he really only has one job, which is to show himself, which is to be clicked. And when he gets clicked, he needs to stop everything. So that just takes 2 blocks. And when you click stop, when you do stop all, it actually stops everything in the program. So if I click this, it'll stop anything that was running, even if it wasn't the timer. Like for example, I click the timer button, say 9, whatever, it's 9 minutes, 540 seconds. It's gonna tick down, it's gonna time, but if I click the stop block right here, see, it stopped ticking. This thing is still ticking though, because that's a variable that's ever changing in Scratch, but everything else in this program has stopped moving, stopped working, because that's what this stop all does. And then, so basically what we can do is, And then and when the stop happens, you just say your time. You have to say the time because like they might because we can say it, or we can just read it too if we want, or we can just we can just let them read it too if we want. So before they actually do the stopwatch, they have to do a few more things. To say your time was, or your time is, your time is, and then we're gonna have to do stopwatch. So that's really that one, and then we have the stopwatch and the timer. And your time is stopwatch, and then it has to stop all. And once it's done that, and then it'll just have to hide itself because your time is stopwatch, and then it's gonna hide. This thing is really annoying because the problem is if you use just this say block, it'll just say it practically forever. So you need to say for a few seconds. And I know that there's already a timer block in Scratch, but we're gonna use this anyway because it's fun. And this thing over here, we can fix that afterwards. We can name this stopwatch. You want to name this timer, or you can just do something. We can make this. I'm gonna read out timer stopwatch. We could do something whereas, like for example, if once the timer started, you can show the variable timer, and it could be like a large readout, and then you could hide it when it's done. Like for example, use a show variable and then a hide here, and you could do the same thing for like this isn't gonna do anything because it's just gonna show and hide my variable. Take that out because like it's gonna I don't want to see the my variable block, but you can do something like that, and you can do the same thing for the stopwatch, and you can have like nice big readouts. Over here, this is just there. You don't really need it or anything. You can get rid of it, or you can write some code. It's be like, for example, you can just leave that there. You can put slashes in between it on the background. You can do whatever you want. That's it for today's video, and bye.